Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to my power scaling series in which I'm going to be going through the entire Cell Saga of Dragon Ball Z from start to finish. If you guys are interested, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and enable all notifications, as well as hitting like and hyping this video up so that you'll be able to see every single one of these videos in this series right away when they come out. And in case that you missed some of the series along the way, make sure to check the end screen of this video when it's over so that you'll be able to in turn go to that playlist and see everything else leading up to this. Now, before we begin, I also wanted to tell you about my book series, The Children of Aman, beginning with the first book, Nemesis of the Absence, a story of thieves who band together in the name of vengeance, using the fundamental forces of creation wielded by the main character, Seraph, a speaker. And you get to see a lot of things such as action, adventure, fight scenes, romance, cool powers, and that much more along the way. So if you're interested, make sure to go down below in the description and get your own copy, physical or digital, today. But with that being said, let's get directly into scaling the Cell Saga. So next up, we have that 3 years passing, and, well, what do we get from some of our first lines? That they're all a lot stronger, and, well, guess what? In terms of Piccolo, well, he does not doubt his abilities anymore. He believes that he'll be able to overcome the villains on display. So we'll have to see what regards that is, well, in regard to. But as we keep going, what do we see? The arrival of androids 19 and 20, also known as Dokata Gero in the Japanese, Dr. Gero in the Japanese, and of course, on my channel, where I like to split the difference and make everybody angry in the meantime, Dr. Gero, Gero Springer, or Gero Seinfeld, whichever one you prefer from the 90s. And so, guess what? We keep seeing that as time goes on, these characters are given other estimates, and we see their powers on display. We have, for instance, when they sense the power of Yamcha. Now, neither one of these characters could be sensed because they're robots. They don't have ki. They are androids in the strictest sense, with the difference of Dr. Gero having his brain in this robot body. Almost like Metallo, except, with a brain instead of an AI or whatever. But in this case, we see them sense the power of Yamcha, and what do they say? That I'm picking up a reading. It far exceeds any known human data. It's an abnormally large energy signal. So, tying into, again, the fact that Yamcha is not weak at all, he says that we've already found Goku. It's only at this point when they see him with their own eyes that they say that it's actually Yamcha. So, additionally, Gero says that we can obtain a great deal of energy from him. So this again says that even the weakest human, I don't think that Chaozu is like a Kyoshi, he's a vampire basically, except he's like Blade. He's a day walker. He can go out in the sun, Blade and Gingers, right? And so as a result, what happens? Well, he is super powerful compared to the last arc. He's in the millions, but I wouldn't put him above Frieza. I don't think that Dr. Gero is just going to be like, oh yeah, this guy kind of helped me fuel myself a little bit if he saw Frieza of all people, right? So he Yamcha's Yamcha, and Yamcha, he needs a little bit more respect put on his name, which you could see a video on my channel, which is called Why Yamcha Isn't Weak, that I went really in depth into that. So check that out, guys. But anyway, either way, we see that this right here, Goku in his base form is able to actually punch Gero and knock his helmet off, his hat, whatever. It's made of metal, obviously, which is kind of weird for, a hat, but either way, so he could do a little bit of damage. Now, in Dragon Ball Z, characters can still get caught off guard, but that's because, in this case, all of his energy is focused on firing an attack. Goku is charging up to him and hitting him, and it still does not do any actual damage. It just knocks his hat off. So that's something I want to keep in mind for later on for people who try to scale that Gohan. It's like Gohan is able to kick off Dr. Gero. Oh, he must be stronger than Frieza on Namek. No, he was caught off guard sucking Piccolo, right? And stuff like that. So Tien, notice here, is also able to dodge out of the way of Goku's energy, or of Jiro's energy. Same thing as Goku. In fact, it looks like Tien has to dodge even further. So again, I think that's a little indicator that Tien's normal power output is equivalent to Goku's in terms of his base form. So let's keep going. At this point in time, we do have the characters fly off in order to fight. And this is when Goku starts to be impacted by the heart virus, which plays a part in how strong he is when he fights against Jiro. This is also when Jiro explains that they have been using miniature spy bots, which have been able to gather data as well as cells, so, the cells later on, from the characters in all of their battles from the Tenkaichi Budokai, the Strongest Under the Heavens, or the World's Martial Arts Tournament, up until the point in which they went to Namek. They didn't follow them on Namek, but they followed them before that. So they saw Goku use the Kaioken. They saw Vegeta become an Ozaru. They saw like how strong of a big boost these characters got in between. They gathered the cells for Cell at that point in time. However, that's when Dr. Jiro stopped following them personally and had his computer take over autonomously through its own artificial intelligence. And thus, in turn, what also happened? Well, Dr. Jiro had no idea what happened on Namek or with the coming of King Cold and Freeze and everything like that. He was hyper-fixating on his androids and building robots stronger than Frieza with a box of scraps in a cave, like Tony Stark or somebody like that, right? And so, either way, what happened next is that Goku goes Super Saiyan and surprises them by showing that he is well beyond their estimates. Now, with that being said, it is worth noticing that this is the first time where it's made very clear that Goku actually isn't as strong as he would have been without the heart virus. Because even though Tien is saying, wow, this is what he feels like up close, and then he says, he's in another dimension, the Japanese variation of this, in the anime, Piccolo, his face tells a different story. He's confused and shocked not because he senses Goku's power and is like, wow, he's so strong. We just saw that he was training with Goku for 3 years as a Super Saiyan. No, he instead shows that, wait, what's going on with Goku? He's not as strong as he's supposed to be. Because he knows what Goku's full power is. And we see again, Goku sweating. He's going to go as hard as he can from the start, but as hard as he can is not his full power. So this is also part of the reason why probably Dr. Jiro says that it seems you've managed to power yourself up quite nicely. A curious technique. It far exceeds the figures that we calculated for you. However, it is not enough to rattle us, and it's still within manageable perimeters. As it stands now, even number 19 alone can defeat you. This tells us that 19 is weaker than 20. Makes sense. Dr. Jiro makes himself the strongest. He's the master, so he wants to make sure that his servant, his slave, essentially, which all the robots are, one of the themes you could argue of the arc, that the Saiyans were the slaves of Frieza, and thus in turn they go on to fight the robotic slaves of the new villain, Dr. Jiro. And so it's a battle of, them, and they eventually liberate themselves by killing Dr. Jiro. And, it becomes a battle of like the future with the servants of the main villain of the arc. A lot of those cool things that go into it. And so essentially, I would say if we're going to give them both a power level, that Dr. Jiro as 20 and 19 are both stronger than Mecha Frieza and Goku on Namek. I know a lot of people over the years, again, have said that they're not because they're energy absorption models. That number 19 must be weaker than Frieza was on Namek, because after all, why would Dr. Jiro be able to build robots stronger than Frieza, despite the fact that obviously 17, 18, 16, Cell are all way more powerful. But either way, I'd say that they are, especially based upon what we see next. Because not only did he say that they could still defeat Goku as a Super Saiyan, but then we see 19 fighting against Goku. Goku is going all out here, and he's still able to keep, he has to dodge 19's attacks. He is not doing a Broly or a Gogeta where he gets punched in the face and does nothing to him. Instead, he has to dodge, and he's hitting 19 as much as he can, but what happens? It's still not really doing much to him. And this, again, Piccolo is pointing out, that may be in terms of Goku's power level. So personally in this fight, I'd say that 19 is stronger than Frieza and probably somewhere stronger than Goku on Namek, maybe. But In terms of Goku's power, he's not as strong as he would be at full power. So theoretically, Goku's power probably is not going to be up to his 100, 200 to 250 million power level, somewhere in that range. Let's say 220, 225. He'd probably be closer to like, I don't know, 200 or less. The thing is, again, oh, of course I hit the wrong button. So give me 1 second. The thing is, again, while I'm talking about this point, that Goku and Vegeta and all these other characters at this point in time, they don't have a static power level. Instead, what's happening here is that they have a kind of baseline power level, which they kind of drape themselves in their energy, they transform everything like that. And then on top of that, additionally, they will then put out even more power in short bursts. This is almost like Kaioken. So when it comes to power levels in the Cell Saga and moving forward, that's another great reason why Toriyama kind of did away with them. Because the truth is that they actually would not be a single static number. They would be ranges, especially when they get mastered power level, mastered Super Saiyan, and they could have their power level be a 5 or a 500 million or whatever you want to say. I'll give my actual numbers later on when they emerge from the time chamber. But in regard to all of that, characters like Goku and everybody here, they're amping their power even more. So Goku could go from theoretically a baseline 200 million and then, punch with a 250 million or 300 million, something like that. So either way, I would say that Goku's power level is cut by a portion here because of his heart virus. So probably to the degree of where his power level maybe is like 180 million, 170, but then he punches at a 225, like, his normal baseline would have been. Again, these are rough estimates. Either way, Goku is weakened by the heart virus, and the androids, again, are showing they could take a beating and keep on going. 19, he's barely hurt. He's got scuffs, he's got dirt on him, but he keeps going. And the only time he really starts to get the edge, because he's weaker than Goku here, is when he absorbs Goku's energy burst. Now, there is a question of whether or not the androids could absorb an infinite amount of energy fired at them, no matter how high the power level is. You could see that when the blast comes within inches of him, it starts to compress and then go into his hand. So maybe there's like a destabilization field in front of his hand that will stop whatever attack. But I do think that if like Gogeta fired an attack at him, it probably wouldn't work the same way here. And maybe he would just like get overloaded by like Yakon and blow up. Either way, he starts to get even stronger. Goku is huffing and puffing. He just can't take it anymore because the heart virus is really impacting him, which then leads into the next part of this arc. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode of this power scaling series of the Cell Saga. Also, get your own copy today of my first book, Nemesis of the Absence, the first in the Children of Mon series, because of course, as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future. Trunks. Future Trunks.
And you better subscribe!